In today's video, we will be casting gels to use for Western blotting. Here are the materials needed for this protocol. So first, I'm going to take my glass plates. The ones that I'm using are by Biorad, and they're 1mm plates. I'll also be using just this plain cover slip that fits over top of the plates so that there's a little gap in the top. I'm going to make sure those are all in line and then put them into my green gel cassette holder. Just like this. Then I'm going to pop the sides back to lock it into place. What I'm looking at on the bottom is to check that the plates and the cover slip are aligned to make sure there won't be any leaks. I can then go ahead and put the plate and gel cassette into my holder, which just clips easily in at the top. Now I'm going to check for leaks by pipetting approximately 2 milliliters of water into the plates. What I'm doing when I'm pipetting here is making sure that the water goes in between the plate and the cover slip, where there was that gap. Now I'm going to mark the water line of where I pipetted the water up to, and then this will make sure that I can see if there are any leaks. Now that I know there aren't any leaks after I've waited for a couple minutes, I'm going to take some filter paper and use that to dry the plates by just sticking the filter paper strips in between the plates. And I want to make sure this is completely dry or else it could affect the composition of my gel. Now I'm going to start casting the gels using the Biorad Fast Cast 10% gel kit. So I have my Resolver A, Resolver B, Stacker A, and Stacker B. I also have Temid, and I have a defrosted aliquot of 10% APS. I also have my comb already set aside. Here I'm using the 1mm comb with 10 wells. I also have a tube holder and then 2 Falcon tubes labeled resolving and stacking. I also have all of the pipettes that I will need lined up. So I have a P1000, P100, and P10. And I also have all my pipette tips ready. Now what I'm going to do first is pipette my Resolver A into the resolving tube. To make one gel, I'm using 3 milliliters of Resolver A. Now I'll add my Resolver B, which is also 3 milliliters, into the resolving tube. Now I'm going to put the lid back on my resolving tube and switch over to the stacking tube. Here I'll be pipetting in 1 milliliter of Stacker A, and then switching over to pipette 1 milliliter of Stacker B. Now I'm going to set those aside and move forward with pipetting the other reagents. So first I'm going to start with my Temid here. I'm going to pipette 3 microliters of Temid into the resolving solution first. And I'm going to pipette this into the solution, mixing by pipetting to ensure it gets combined. I'm then going to pipette 2 microliters of Temid into the stacking solution. Now I'm starting to move quickly here because the gel is going to start polymerizing in the tube once I add the APS. So first I'm going to pipette 30 microliters of APS into the resolving solution. And then I'm going to adjust my pipette and switch over to the stacking solution where I will pipette 10 microliters of APS. Now I'm going to put the lids back on the tubes securely and give them a quick vortex to ensure all the solutions are combined. Once that's done, I'm going to work quickly to pipette my resolving solution into the gel. Once again, I'm pipetting it between the plates, just like we did with the water that we tested for the leaks with. So here, I'm adding it in a straight line up until the green line, which you will see on the front of the gel cassette. This is pretty close to the top. Now I'm going to switch over to my stacking solution. And I'm going to do the same thing, pipetting in between the plates, and just making sure that it goes in a straight line across the top without any bubbles. And now I'm just going to fill the plates up to the very top. Once that's finished, I'm going to add my comb in between the plates, making sure that it goes in evenly and is fully pressed down. And when that's finished, it'll look like this. So you can see that green line is right there where the bottom of wells hit. Now I'm going to save these leftover solutions in order to check for polymerization. So it's been about 45 minutes now, and I'm going to check my tubes where I can see that the solutions are polymerized. Here are the materials for storing the gels. So now that I've removed my gel from the cassette and it's nicely polymerized, I'm going to wrap the gels in paper towel that is damp with distilled water. This will make sure that they don't get dried out and that the combs stay intact. And once that's done, I can just put them in a plastic bag and store them in the 4-degree fridge for up to 4 weeks. Thank you for watching this video on how to cast gels for Western blotting.